Welcome to Touring Fundamentals. Man, I am so dang excited to share with you the world of touring, because if you're watching Touring Fundamentals, it means that you're probably interested in the basics, the foundations of touring, because you have yet to get to go on the road. And I will just want to say from the top, like, touring is something that's very difficult to explain to people because it is such a unique experience, and it is an experience that until you experience it in whatever capacity, it's really difficult to really explain and to have someone understand touring. It is a lifestyle career, and I fortunately have been blessed to get to do this for over 20 years. It's 20 years on the road since I'm recording this masterclass, this training that you're watching. And I've been in the business for 22 years. And I got to tell you, man, touring is such an exciting part of the career of events in general. Like, it is such a cool, expansive experience to get to go on the road and do what we do. And so I'm excited to share with you some of the fundamentals, some of the things that you can understand and take away to where you can take it on the road with you. So the goal and the target for this training, which I always love to start these trainings out with a target, right? A direction. What are we going to gain from this training? What are you going to get out of this? And be ready to take some notes if you can. Take some notes. Get ready to write some stuff down, because we are going to cover a lot in this training. Our whole goal, our whole target for this is to have a foundational understanding of the lifestyle aspect of touring, and to have an understanding of what's expected of you and what's required of you. And there's so much more, but that's the general target that I want to aim for with this training. You ready for this? So this is in 3 parts. There's kind of 3 parts to this training. And the first one is, hey, look, you got a tour. All right. You got your first tour. So let's talk about touring in general and the different types of tours. Now, there are van and trailer tours. That's how I got my start, which is literally like a 16-passenger van pulling a trailer full of gear and everything, your merchandise, all the production equipment. That's a level of touring. There are bandwagon or band-to-go tours, where it's like extended size vans or bandwagons, which is like a specific company that kind of does these build out RV type things. Then there are RV tours where bands may rent RVs. Then there's bus tours where there's full-blown tour buses that sleep 12 people. We're going to learn more about that in the training. And then there are flight tours. I recently did a flight tour where the whole all of the gigs, or all the travel rather, in between all of the gigs were all flights, which is its own type of touring. So there's no one way to tour. Just know that, like, when you say, well, I want to tour, we're talking like a wide range of types of tours that you could be involved in, which is pretty dang cool, pretty exciting. So we're going to talk about a variety of those, but that's really the gist of the different types of tours. It's really about taking an event, taking a show, and taking it on the road. You know, some of this touring might be, 2 or 3 or 4 shows in a row, and then you sleep in a hotel, you stay out. Some of it might be like corporate touring or Broadway type touring, Broadway theater type shows, where you go and you stay in a specific location for a week at a time. Cirque du Soleil is similar to that. Like, there's a lot of different types of time in these cities. Like when I was doing the flight touring recently, we would do a show in the venue, and then there would be a travel day, show in the venue, a travel day. Some of these were, multiple shows in the same venue, and then a flight travel day. And so there's no one way to tour, but touring generally, the lifestyle of it is all about taking the show on the dang road. Make sense? All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what to pack and how to pack. Now, everyone tours differently. So I'm going to share with you my ideas about touring and how I pack personally for the road. All right. What I like to do is I pack obviously relative to where we're going and how long we're going. All right. So if it's the middle of a summer tour, then I'm going to pack summer clothes. And if it's a winter tour, obviously you're going to pack winter stuff. If you're going through different seasonal changes, you're going to want to prepare for that as well. Okay. Seems pretty obvious, but it's something to consider. Sometimes people don't think about like going from a hot climate to a freezing cold climate all in one stretch. And so if you don't pack enough of that type of clothing, you can really get caught up. Now, the beautiful thing about packing for tour is that because you're always in a major city, usually you can always send out for something and get something that you may have forgotten to pack. So if you're not packing perfectly for the road, that's okay. But this will kind of give you a good basis of how I like to pack. I usually have two different suitcases. I don't take them both out at once, but I have a large suitcase for extended tours. If I'm doing like a month plus long tour, I'll take, and especially in that month, I might be going in a variety of different places. I might take the larger suitcase. I use a Toomey suitcase. Toomey is my jam, but they're not cheap. And so you can absolutely go to like a Marshall's or a TJ Maxx and buy a suitcase that is appropriate, or it's the TK Maxx if you're over there in the UK watching this. But yeah, go buy you a suitcase that's suiting for you. I like the full roller bags. Personally, some people tour in a duffel bag type style or an OGO type bag where it's like wheels on the bottom, but it's still a duffel style. Here's the thing about that. I personally like the suitcase because of packability. I like to be a square in the square pack. The thing with duffels is it's an odd shape. Sometimes it's not easy to stack a duffel. And so I sometimes can get a little frustrated when people bring the duffels and I'm trying to stack it or figure out under the bays or in these buses and stuff, how to manage putting a duffel in with all the squares, right? But it's all good. If you're a duffel person, you can absolutely use a duffel bag as well. But I like to have a big suitcase that I can take for those extended trips, or a small suitcase, which is honestly what I use more than anything, because I like to travel very light and efficiently. And so I will travel with my carry-on size suitcase. It's extendable, but here's my whole thing with packing. I wear the same clothes almost every single day. Not necessarily the same exact clothes every day, but the same type of clothes. So I wear the same black t-shirts, the same brand of jeans. Like I might have like the same 3 or 4 pairs of jeans and a couple of pairs of shorts, socks, underwears, the same black t-shirts. I only usually take a few different non-black stuff for days off. And I always have at least a sweatshirt or a fleece and a jacket, right? And a rain jacket, something for outdoor shows. And even the rain jacket you might not take on every single thing, okay? Because if you're doing an arena tour, you definitely don't need to bring and haul your rain jacket out with you in most cases. So I like to pack for 9 days. The reason why I do this is so I can literally pack a whole month's tour in my little small kind of carry-on size bag. I like to pack for 9 days is because, look, usually at the end of a week, like you're going to have to pretty much wash clothes every week, usually. I mean, that usually is the case. You're going to have to wash your clothes. And so if I wash every 7 days, I still have a couple of extra days of clothes beyond that in case I get pushed out of the 7-day loop. But I usually wash once a week. Now, if I'm just doing like a 2-week run, for instance, then I might extend out and try and pack for the whole 2 weeks so I don't have to wash it all. But generally, if I'm going out on a month or 2 or even 3-month long tour or longer, I will literally still pack for 9 days plus workout clothes. I like to bring a few workout shorts and extra pair of tennis shoes, specifically for working out. Don't forget your laundry bag, and of course, what your Dobbs kit, your toiletry kit. I also have a backpack, and in my backpack, I have an extra toiletry kit, a backup pair of clothes. I always just keep a backup pair of at least black t-shirts in my backpack. And usually that's the bag that I bring in and out of the venue to where I can do my showering, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. So, but that's how I pack personally. But again, I'm a guy, and I also understand that sometimes women need different things in their bag that a guy might not need. And then, of course, not even just gender specific, but personality specific. I also know some guys that like to have different types of day off clothes and fancy it up. Something that I do put in my bag is I always bring a black blazer, because I do this thing called Suit Saturdays. On Saturdays, I class it up and I wear a blazer to do all of my show stuff during the show. So it's just what I like to do. But that's kind of the general gist about packing for the road, is to just make sure that you consider where you're going and how long you're doing it for. And really, more than anything, it's so much easier for you to be more efficient in your packing and pack smarter and more streamlined and lighter. Again, you're probably going to be washing your clothes on the regular, maybe every week. You'll have a couple of options for laundry. You could either bring it to production and they can send it off for you, meaning they'll bring your laundry bag, you give them some of your money, and they'll send your clothes off, and they can be, wash and fold for you. Costs a bit more, but it can be super convenient, especially if you're in a position where you're super busy and you want to, not deal with it on days off. Me personally, I love going out to a laundromat in some random city around the world to do my own laundry, because it gives me time to read or do whatever during that time. I like to, that's kind of me time. And so I do not mind doing laundry in laundromats on days off, because that's just my MO, right? And it allows me to take a little bit more control of my laundry. It'll be a little bit more predictable. But when you're talking about being able to do laundry on the road, whether you're using it for, or using a laundromat, or you're sending it off in production, you're typically going to send it off once a week. It would behoove you, so you don't have a big dirty clothes bag of laundry that you're hauling around. And so it allows you to pack lighter. Look, I've been doing this for 20 years. And in my early days, especially in touring, I used to always bring my big bag, and I would bring a pair of boots and a pair of tennis shoes, and then like multiple jackets, and like I'd bring like as much clothes as possible. I'd bring like 7 pairs of jeans and like all 2 weeks worth of shirts and this, that, and the other. And I found that when I would do that, I oftentimes wouldn't even wear a lot of the clothes that I would drag out on the road with me. And so I find that like when I can just really smartly pack for 9 days plus some extra workout clothes, I literally can use my small Toomey bag. And I will say that as far as the Dobb kit go, meaning your toiletry kit, I will oftentimes, I will not check a bag, and I will only bring the toiletries. Like I will leave razors and shavers at home on shorter stuff, so I don't even have to deal with all of that. Like I'll just go grab something locally as far as a razor goes, so I can shave. But otherwise, that way I can carry on, because I've had that happen where airlines have lost my bag. So now I try to be really efficient and really streamlined. But again, there's no one way to do it, whether you're a duffel, whether you're a suitcase, whether you're packing, 2 weeks worth of clothes, or you're just like me, going to pack a sensible extended week of clothes. It's really up to you. Touring can receive you in your ways of living this lifestyle. You certainly can fit a big suitcase on a bus and check a bag and all of that stuff. If you are going to check a bag, tours will reimburse you for your baggage fee. So just to let you know. All right. Tour buses. So there's different types of tour buses, specifically in the US and in Europe. There's different types. In the US, well, let me just talk about Europe real quick. In Europe, buses are two stories. They're double-decker buses. Okay. And there's stacks of 2 bunks upstairs on buses. Okay, there's a couple of lounges upstairs, a front and a back lounge upstairs, and then there is a bottom lounge where people hang out on the bottom of the bus. But in Europe, the drivers sleep on the bus, and so during the day, it's really best to really keep quiet on the bus, not to be all loud and shaking up the bus, because the driver is sleeping on the bus in Europe. That's really the biggest difference with Europe buses and US buses, is that in Europe, they're double deckers. The drivers sleep on the bus. And in the US, the drivers go to the hotel during the day, and the bus is one level. There is a front lounge, little kitchen bathroom area, what's called the bunk house, which is 4 stacks of 3 usually, and then a back lounge. In these buses, there's also the ability to have what's called condo bunks if there's less people on the bus, which means instead of 4 stacks of 3, you would have 4 stacks of 2. But usually on a crew bus, it's going to be 12 people on your bus plus the driver. Okay. And so that's the kind of the biggest differences of these US and European buses. In Europe, the baggage bay is in the back of the bus, and it's on the side. Everybody kind of throws their bags up into this baggage bay. But in the US, the baggage bays are closer to the front of the bus, and they're underneath. Something to consider about where to put your bag and this kind of life on the bus. So let's just say that you show up to the bus, okay, in the US, and you're wondering where you put your suitcase. A good understanding of this, and a lot of tours don't necessarily practice this, but this is one way that I would recommend that you understand where to put your suitcase, is whatever bunk that you end up getting on the bus, put your suitcase on that same side of the bus. So if you're sleeping on the driver's side in the bunkhouse, then put your suitcase around to the other side of the bus. And then if you're sleeping on the passenger side, you can put it in the passenger side bus bays, your suitcase. Another thing to be considerate of is when you put your suitcase under the bus, try and put it in the same spot. You know, people have a tendency to want to shift stuff around, and at the same time, it's always nice when you know that your suitcase is in the same spot. You put it in the same spot every single time, and it's predictable. This is a really hard thing to do, to be honest with you. But when you can, everybody really does want that, and they appreciate that. Oftentimes, people just move stuff around under there, and sometimes your bus or your suitcase might get pushed to the other side. You're like, where the heck is my suitcase? And anyways, and so something to be considerate of is to put your suitcase in the same spot every single time. So, all right, you show up to the bus and you're like, well, what bunk do I get? All right. Well, first of all, when you get up on the bus, it all depends on seniority usually, because in these bunks, there's a bit of a hierarchy of who gets what bunk. And a lot of times people have preferences. And so whoever's been with the artist or that show the longest will usually get top priority. Or if it's a brand new crew to a new show, it's sometimes priority relative to positions, you know, so you might get crew chiefs or front of house engineers or tour managers or whomever getting to choose first. Tour managers always typically have this one bunk, which is when you go into the bunkhouse, it's the driver middle bunk. And the reason why that's called the tour manager bunk is because there's a phone. Usually there is a phone in that bunk that's connected to the driver up front. So they have like quick communication with the driver. A lot of the buses are phasing those tour manager bunk phones out. But that traditionally has been the tour manager bunk. And the reason why the middle is because the middle bunk is usually the best bunk in the bus. And the reason why is because of the comfortability of the ride, easy in and out of the middle bunk. It's easy to, you know, put your bag in it, easy to make your bed, all those things, whatever. But the middle bunk, if you think about it, it's not so close to the wheels like the bottom bunk. So you don't get that much of the road bumping. And then it's not like the top bunks where you get a lot of the sway of the bus. So that middle bunk is that nice even ride. So the top bunks, you get a lot more sway, which by the way, I like the top bunks because it rocks me to sleep like a baby. Or the bottom bunks has a lot more road feel. You get a lot more vibration from the road. And also if you're further back towards the back lounge, that matters too, because one, the noise level in the back lounge different than being in the middle of the bus, plus you're closer to the wheels of the bus. So some of these things matter. Some of the buses, like Florida coaches, these brands, they'll actually have windows in the buses, in the bunks. Actually, you can cover them up, but that's kind of a cool feature. In Europe, they have windows in the bunks as well. The same thing goes in Europe, by the way. When it comes to bunk selection, is really a hierarchy. There's no middle bunks in Europe, but it's just really that kind of front, back, whatever's available. You have a little curtain that you can cover yourself into and get some privacy. There's usually a little pouch in your bunk to where you can put like a book or your phone or whatever. There's power cables. Sometimes the power, where the plug is at your feet, depending on where in the bunkhouse that you are. And so it's sometimes good to get like an extension type cable to where you can, or a long USB cable or something to where you can have your phone closer to you. When I start tours, I oftentimes like to go to the bathroom section of like a Walmart or something and get like a little suction cup, like they would use in the shower, a little suction cup dish or something to where I can put some of my extra items in that I can't fit in the pouch. Just something that I like to do, that allows me to be a little bit more organized in my bunk. I personally, by the way, I don't ever bring my own pillow or comforter, but some people like to. Some people love to bring their own pillow, love to bring their own comforter out. If you're one of those type people, that's okay. You absolutely can do that if you can fit it into your fly ability to get it out, actually out to the bus. I never do, but I mean, not to say that if I weren't taking a tour, that I might change out the pillows at least, because some of these bunk pillows are super flat. I do use 2 bunk pillows because, or the bus pillows, because they are a bit flat. But again, I just want to remind you that there's no one way to tour. So if you're one of those people that really just feel like they want their own comforter or they want their own pillow from home, hey, do it. More power to you. I personally am what's called a tucker. I made it up, but I literally like tuck my comforter in my mattress. I get in there like a little cocoon, and that's just what makes me feel comfortable. Some people hate that and they have the blanket all loose, but I will say, especially if you're in a top or middle bunk, that your comforter can easily slide out underneath the curtain in the night and make it difficult for someone trying to climb in and out of the bunk. And so I don't have that problem because I tuck my comforter, but it's something to be considerate of, is your comforter sliding out of your bunk at night. So just to kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so that's the bunkhouse. As far as where to put your shoes, by the way, every bunk or every bus has a different rule to this. Some of the buses, you're allowed to line your shoes up along the bunkhouse hallway. More and more people are not liking that anymore. It used to be the standard. Sometimes people say put your shoes in the back lounge, where you can lay them out in the back lounge, or in a drawer. Now, a lot of tours these days are like, well, put your shoes in your bunk with you, down by your feet. If that's the case, you can figure out the best way to do that for yourself. Sometimes I've seen people like go and get like a little shelf similar to the one that I've seen in the bathroom, or the little bathroom shelf that I use, the little sticky one. I've seen sometimes people will grab like a little stick it to the wall shelf for their shoes, like a little platform. I don't personally like to do that. I try to just put it in the back lounge, or I'll just literally just put my shoes up in the bunk with me towards my feet. I know it kind of sounds a little dirty sometimes, and it can get a little dirty, but your driver usually will wash the sheets and the comforter every week or so. Usually they try to do it every week, especially if you're on a pretty steady tour. And so if you have nasty boots or something like that, just put it in the back lounge. So just to give you a little heads up about your shoes. All right. The lounges. So there is a front lounge and a back lounge. on these buses. If you're in the UK, there's an up and downstairs lounge. And also if you're in the UK, if you're in the Europe buses, there's a little front kind of cockpit 2-seater lounge up near the buses in Europe, which is kind of fun to go up there into the top and watch the world, watch the Europe scenery go by, which is sometimes pretty fun. But either way, you'll notice that like there are certain people that like to hang out in these different lounges. It seems like the back lounges of these buses are always kind of the party area. It's where a lot of the people go to party, to hang out, to do the thing. Back when I was first started touring, it was a lot more lenient, but people would go back there to smoke and do some things that these days are starting to phase out with touring because it's becoming a lot more professional, I should say. But the back lounge is the hangout spot usually. The front lounge is a general lounge. There's TVs in these buses that's got full on satellite TV. A lot of times people like to commandeer the remote and watch shows and movies and all that stuff. Hey, listen, I'm not a big commandeer the remote guy and start to control that. I'm not much for that, but I'm kind of like whatever anyone wants to watch. But sometimes people really like to command the control of the remote. Sometimes after shows, they like to listen to music. There's video game systems usually on these buses. I'm not a video gamer, but a lot of people are. And so sometimes the video game connection will be in the back lounge usually for that type of situation. But it all just depends on who you're riding with and who's on the bus. There's some really wonderful people on the road, and this is the bus life. The bus hang is a really great time to get to know people. It really is. It's a wonderful time to deepen the relationships and just kind of get to know people. But I will say that you're also going to get to know that a lot of these people are inconsiderate. A lot of people are dirtier than you might realize. A lot of people, some grown ass people, for a lack of better words, are going to be leaving trash in everywhere, or water bottles everywhere, like empty water bottles, and you're just like, what the heck? So just to let you know that, like, one of the biggest lessons to learn about living with 12 other people or 11 other people on a bus is that you have to be a lot more forgiving, because people are not like you, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You get to experience different people than you, and it's a wonderful thing. There's a bathroom on the bus. Never poop on the bus. Don't shit on the bus, as it's said, because it will clog the sewer system. There are artist coaches that have what's called grinders in the toilet. You can imagine what that's for. But even still, when I've like been a tour manager or something like that, and I've had to ride on artist coaches, I still would not poop on the bus. It's not recommended. And so, but that's kind of like the two biggest things. If you have to go and poop, ask the driver to stop. Like if you're in the middle of the road or whatever, it's like, ask the driver to stop at the next rest area if you just cannot, or the truck stop if you just cannot hold it. But I'm gonna go there with this. There's a thing called brown bagging it. You can kind of imagine where I'm going with this. If you just cannot hold it and the driver can't stop anywhere, and if you don't feel comfortable just hopping out on the bus in the middle of the highway and pooping behind the bus or something like that, because it's been done before, I'm just saying, then you can layer the toilet with bags, because usually there's some sort of grocery bag or a trash bag. Do your business, tie it up, and have the driver stop at the next exit so you can so you can throw it away. As gross as that sounds, man, it's life on the road. You know, we're talking about living on the road, and believe me, man, I want to talk about after show food later, but what you're going to find is that, especially when you're traveling the country on these buses and you're doing deadheads where you're like literally going across country, sometimes you run into problems. Like you finish a show, you eat after show food, you wake up, and all of a sudden, like everyone on the bus has to poop at once, right? It's just the nature of the body, right? These are like the things about the road that a lot of people just don't even talk about. But the driver will usually stop at a truck stop. Truck stops are going to be like, you're going to be so familiar with truck stops. You can make truck stops fun, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. But truck stops will be your friend in that you'll get to go into truck stops and get cleaned up and do your business in these truck stops, by the way, when you're living on the bus. So there's something called bus stock that you're going to actually get, which is like sodas and chips and PB&J stuff. Sometimes you can put in requests for bus stocks. Depending, they'll have like a list on the table, and there's a designated bus mom. It's always been called a bus mom. I don't even know if you can say that anymore these days because of our crazy situation with stuff, but there's a thing called a bus mom on a bus, and it's someone that takes full responsibility of the bus stock. Like they check it out, like, when are we running low on waters? When are we running low on sodas? All the different things, and they'll have a list of stuff that you can maybe put your request down on. And it is a request. It's not always something that you can definitely get, but most of the time production is usually budgeted out pretty solid for bus stock, because they want to keep you happy on the road. This is your home away from home. And so alcohol, beers, all that stuff, waters, everything you'll find on the bus. And so it's there for you to eat while you're in transit. They don't usually like you to eat the bus stock up while you're sitting there on days off. That's why you have per diem. But a lot of times people will save their per diem and eat bus stock on days off, just to let you know. But so front and back lounge, there's something called the driver's area up front where there's the cockpit seat. This is really a fun place to kind of go sit, talk with the driver, watch the world go by, kick your feet up. It's kind of fun to go up there sometimes and just sit and hang. Sometimes the cigarette smokers, the smokers, will go up into the front and they'll smoke to blow it out the window if the driver allows it. Sometimes the driver don't allow it. And so for smokers, man, it can be a little bit tough these days, because more and more, like in the early days, smoking was less of an issue when I first started touring, and now it's become a thing. And so there's less and less smoking on the bus. But the driver's cockpit is something that is an area that you can do that sometimes if the driver lets you blow it out the window. One thing is, take care of your drivers. Like, hey, ask the driver before you go to bed, hey, you need anything? I mean, they got your life in their hands, by the way. And so take care of the drivers and pick up after yourself. You know what I mean? Like you got your little family on the bus, like take care of yourself and pick up after yourself. And by the way, when you go to sleep, make sure that you sleep with your feet forward. Sleep with your feet facing the front of the bus, because you don't want to break your neck, right? You don't want to break your neck if the driver has to pound on his brakes really hard. Okay. And so make sure you sleep with your feet forward. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. By the way, if you haven't gone to the career chat section, there is an interview that we did with Carl Harden, and he actually was in a severe bus accident. This is something about bus life that's not often talked about, but he was in the Josh Turner crew bus, and they went off an 80-foot cliff, nosedived off an 80-foot cliff about 30 minutes after they left the gig. And if you want to hear about that crazy story, go listen to it. And it'll show you, it'll give you a really great example of why you sleep with your feet forward in the bus. Okay. Not to scare you, but this stuff can happen. You know, I've been on buses where twice, actually, I've been on a bus where the bus caught on fire in behind the back lounge is where the motor is, where the engine is. And the bus is caught on fire, and we've had to all stop on the side of the highway and, you know, watch the bus be on fire. So pretty crazy stuff can happen on buses. So you just want to importantly, it's important to just be aware of some of these hazards, but to also relax and have fun on the bus. You know, really respect each other's space on the bus. Be consistent on the bus. Be considerate on the bus. Something that I like to do is to take out the trash. You know, the driver usually shows up at the end of the night and like cleans up a little bit, or shows up at the end of our night, the start of their day, and cleans up a little bit. They'll take out the trash. But sometimes when I'm done with the gig, I'll go, and if the trash is full, I just take it out, man. I'll take out the trash, put a new bag in. It's my home too. And another thing, and I'll leave it at this with life on the bus, is if you have guests, okay, ask before you bring guests on a bus. make sure you ask your bus mates if it's okay to bring a guest on the bus, because it's their house too, you know? And it's always weird to show up on a bus and there's like a bus full of strangers and you don't, you don't know any of them. You're like, oh, hello, what the heck, And so it's always good to say, hey, can I bring someone up on the bus? I want to show them the bus, or have a beer with them in the front lounge or whatever. There's been times I remember I was doing Coachella on a tour years ago, and somebody had brought friends up on the bus to give them a bus tour, these two girls, and they walked them through the bus, gave them a bus tour, and that was that. The rigger gets back up on the bus and his computer's missing. He keeps his computer in his bunk. At the time, it was just, look, it's our safe space, right? It's supposed to be safe. And his computer was sitting there in his bunk. And as it's one of those MacBook Airs, and as the girl was walking behind, the friend looked over, saw the computer, grabbed it, put it in her purse, and stole his computer. And so be considerate of guests on the bus. It's just, it should be an unsaid thing, but like a lot of times you'll get there and be like packed full of strangers on your bus, and you're like, oh, hopefully all of those people that don't live here are respecting our space. So just something to be mindful of. That's really a bit about it on bus life. Like I said at the start of this training, it's like, until you get actually out there on the road on a tour, it's really hard to understand how you're going to fit in bus life. Just don't be timid, be cool, be yourself. More importantly, like because you're different, it makes it wonderful. Like it's a bunch of different people that are working towards the same thing. And so just be you, be cool. Always bring, by the way, buses are very cold. And so always bring a sweatshirt or a fleece. I like to leave one on the bus because they keep it cold on buses. So they say that it kind of keeps the sickness down. For me, it freaking gets me sick. But I digress. Bring a hoodie or something like that so you can, bundle up on these cold ass buses. And like I said, just be considerate, man. Clean up after yourself, all that good stuff, and go have fun on a bus. Van and trailer life is a whole different situation, because you're going to be, if you're touring in a van and trailer tour, most likely you're going to have uncomfortable rest on these bench seats of these vans, and you're also going to have shared hotel rooms, which I'm going to talk a little bit about hotel rooms here real quick. Is these smaller tours, and I've done it, where you're going to have shared hotel rooms, and that means that like you're going to have a roommate while you're on the road. Even on some of these smaller tours that are not necessarily van and trailer tours, but they're bus tours of these newer artists, you will share hotel rooms. I probably shared hotel rooms the first 7 years of my touring career. And everyone is different. Sometimes they will automatically pair you up with somebody. I remember they paired me, the guitar tech at the time, up with our rigger, which was a terrible combination because my rigger got up at like 6 a.m. and here I was, I didn't have to be in until a bit later. And they paired us together, and he was an early sleeper, and the littlest bit of light, he could like feel it in his closed eyelids or something. And so it was very difficult for him and I to room together. And I actually asked for a different roommate. I went to production and said, hey, listen, can you not pair me with the rigger, the guy that's got to get in first to the guy that's got to get in last, And so they repositioned us and better matched us. But just again, with the hotel rooms, and if you're sharing rooms, it's like, be respectful of your roommate. And I was rooming one time with the drummer of the band, and he had bad sleep apnea as well as night terrors. And more often than not, I ended up just going to sleep on the bus in my bunk in the parking lot sometimes when I was in these shared hotel room situations. And so just be mindful of and understand that you might have to share rooms, especially in your early days of touring. And it's okay. It's just part of it. It's no big deal. But sometimes, and of course I haven't shared a room now in, a dozen plus years. But it's nice to not have to share a room because you get your own space, obviously. Something about that, by the way, is hotel points. Make sure you sign up for the rewards, Hilton rewards, the Marriott rewards, Bonvoy, like sign up for those programs, put your number in. Like sometimes you don't get the points because they're a group reservation, but oftentimes you'll still get some sort of rewards. Like with Marriott Bonvoy, you get free high speed Wi-Fi that's sometimes $15 for the charge if you're not as a Bonvoy member. So sign up for this stuff and you'll find that it adds up. It adds up. I've actually gotten free hotel rooms because of the fact that I've just put my number down. Next thing you know, it's like, oh shoot, I've got I've got free benefits to this, free coffee, free drinks. Like there's all these different things and all of these different rewards. So make sure that you sign up for hotel rewards. All right, flights. I told you that I've done a lot of flight tours. I recently did a K-pop tour with the Stray Kids, and it was all flights in between every gig, which was pretty cool. And so make sure again that you sign up for travel rewards. Make sure that you sign up for all of them: United, Delta, Southwest, American. Sign up for all the rewards. Oftentimes these tours, especially when you get to the higher levels, they will let you put down your flight company or your flight recommend preference. Sorry. Like mine is American. I've got platinum status on American, and I continue to grow that every year. I've had status on that airline now for years, which gives me a lot of benefits like lounges and free bags and miles and miles and miles. In fact, my wife and I are flying our two kids to New York City. We're doing the Today Show and Colbert coming up, and they're flying with me completely free on points. And so this stuff adds up over time. So be sure to get your travel rewards. Another thing, oh, by the way, one thing about the hotels, and I'm sorry, I didn't mention this before, lobby calls. You'll have this thing called lobby calls and make sure you show up for them. That means a lobby call means literally the time that you need to be down in the lobby to either get to the gig or to continue on to the next city. Okay. So lobby calls. Yeah. Back to flights. Sorry. By the way, sometimes you'll get your preference of airlines. And when you can do that, man, it is a wonderful thing. But like that Stray Kids tour that I was talking about, where it was flying, it was all budget based. So that's why you needed to have all these rewards. So I've got points on all the airlines, and I've been able to use those points from Southwest to United to Delta, American, for different times, different things. Sometimes I've flown family out to see my like my mom, to come fly her out to see my kids, things like that. And so these points add up. Like, don't not sign up for rewards points. You will kick yourself if you wait years of traveling without signing up for rewards points. It adds up, and a lot of this stuff is lifetime too. So TSA pre, it's like $80, man. Get it. All right. Like, just go ahead out of the gate when you first get your first tour, like go ahead and get TSA pre. I think it lasts for like 5 years. And so it's like $80 or $85 for like 5 years. You got to go down to the airport, spend like an hour or less. It took me like 30 minutes, and then you'll get your known traveler number, and you can give your list of reward numbers and your known traveler number to the tour manager, and they will go ahead and input that stuff in, or they should have the travel agent input that stuff in to where it automatically happens when you book it. Because TSA pre is something that you're definitely going to want. It's just so easy to not have to take your shoes off when you're at the airlines and all of that stuff. And so this is just about being a savvy traveler, right? At this point, when you're touring, it's not just about doing the job, but now you're a traveler for a living, right? Global entry. I don't necessarily recommend getting global entry right out of the gate, to be honest with you. It's more of a convenience. I don't necessarily re-up global entry. And so I currently don't have global entry. It's not a priority of mine. It just depends on how much international travel that you're doing. But at the same time, though, when I do like a Europe tour or Asia or something like that, and I come back to the States, I'm fine with just waiting in the line. It's really no big deal to me. And especially these days, they've made customs a lot more quick, because you do like this digital customs card these days, and you're usually in and out. So global entry, if you want to get it, it definitely can't hurt. It can speed you up a little bit, make it a little bit more convenient. But personally, I don't think like it would be a big requirement, as much as I would say TSA pre is. Yeah. And then finally, flying private jets. Now, you will get the opportunity most likely to fly private. In fact, I've already flown private once on this run that I'm doing, and I'm flying private tomorrow night. And it just depends on your role or whatever, but flying private can be a really awesome thing, right? You can imagine flying private can be really, really cool where there's no TSA. You get, you get right to the plane. Sometimes you'll literally ride the bus right up next to the plane, load up some gear, jump on the plane. It's nice. It's a jet. It flies really fast. You don't get any rewards points for it, but you get a rewarding experience. Or I hate that I'm even going to complain about flying private, but there are some times where you're flying a G5 and there's like in these private jets, there's like these captain chairs, and then sometimes there's these bench seats that go along the side. If you're jam packed on a private jet and you got the bench seat, it is not going to be the most comfortable couple hours. I would just say that. And so it's cool. It's luxury, but sometimes it can be like that. Okay. But you will have an opportunity to fly private. Soak it in, man. It is so cool to get to experience that life. So flying private is going to be on your radar. All right. Day off activities on the road. Everyone lives the road differently, period. I do want to impress upon you, and as far as days off goes, the tour life in general, it is big community based. Okay. And you do want to build relationships on the road. Okay. And you do want to go out and have some dinner and have some drinks with some of your compadres, but do not feel like you have to. A lot of your fellow crew will make it known that like, oh, you got to come with us, and they'll pressure you and they'll pressure you. Do not feel like you have to go out and hang every night. In fact, I want to encourage you, if you feel like that you have to, and you're feeling that kind of drag, hey, just be like, tonight I'm not doing it. Like, have some boundaries with this, because you need your time off on the road. The road is hard enough as it is. And if you do not re-energize and take care of your mental health, it will screw you. And your days off is when you take care of your mental health. I mean, you have some daily practice, yes, but like, you need your days off to have the day off, right? And so you don't always have to go and hang out with the crowd. Yes, it is important to go and connect and build community and build relationship, but it is more important to take care of you. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. But as far as day off activities, you have an opportunity, depending on where you have your day off and how close you are to these different things, to do whatever you will with it. Over my years, I've always kind of themed my days off. Like when I first started touring, I always did the tourist things first. Like if I've never been to a city, straight up, I go to all the tourist spots and knock that out. I want to make sure that I see all the cool shit. You know what I'm saying? I want, for lack of better words, I want to make sure that I go and like really explore all these different cities. And then after I come back on the next time, then I'll dig a little bit deeper. Maybe I'll do museums, and then, few and far between do I do the whole malls and movie theater thing. I only go to the malls if I like actually need to buy like a new hat or clothes or something like that. But a lot of road people, you will see that like, that's what they do. They go to the movies and they go to the mall and then they go drink at a bar. Like, that's not me. More power to them if that's what they want to do. But I'm like, man, I'm getting to travel to this really cool spot. I want to do something really valuable with this time, right? And so what I like to do personally is I like to explore. I will literally, because you can't get lost these days, but I will literally sometimes jump on a city bus and go, or I'll jump on a train and just go, and then just go and explore and just like literally let it take me. And spend the day doing that, like exploration stuff. I'll sometimes go to like a yoga class. I love yoga, hot yoga especially. And I will sometimes Google hot yoga and I'll go take a local yoga class. I go to the gym sometimes. That's something I like to do. I'm a huge hiker. And so I will find hiking trails all over. I've gotten to hike mountains and hike really cool random stuff. I've literally like had Ubers drop me off at the trailhead in some random road somewhere that I found on my trail maps and have gone hiking. As far as taking your hobbies with you on the road, if you're on a lengthy tour and you've got, buses and multiple buses and all of that stuff, or trucks or whatever, there is some grace given to where you're able to bring like a bicycle on the road. I've brought my mountain bike before on the road. Where I've literally been able to put it under the bus bay. It's hard to put it in the truck because the trucks aren't going to be there on the days off, right? Like you want to be able to put it in the bus bay. So I was able to like take my wheel off, turn the bike, but there was a couple of other people that brought bikes And on that tour, like I said, I like to theme it out. On that tour, mountain biking was my thing. Like I could do all this other stuff, but mountain biking was my thing. So I mountain biked all across the country and all across Canada on that tour. One tour I did bowling. All right. I literally brought my bowling bag and shoes, and me and one of the other guys was into bowling. We found bowling alleys everywhere we went. And that was our thing for that tour. Okay. I'm a scuba diver. I'm an advanced PADI scuba diver. After I got that, for a whole tour around the world, I went scuba diving anywhere that I could, obviously needing to be near bodies of water. But so use your day off as you need to, but I just want to impress upon you, you don't always have to hang out with the crowd and go drinking all the time, every time. Sometimes you want to do that though, so you can build relationship and community. And then also make sure you take care of yourself on days off. Make sure you actually are getting your sleep and you're re-energizing and you're doing your laundry on some of those days off and you're taking you time. For me, like I said, I did all those things, but also I'm a doer. And so I was always building my businesses on days off. I was writing my books. And so really it's a lot of time on days off to get to do a lot of cool stuff. But I do want to recommend that, being this is touring fundamentals, to make sure that when you first go to these cities, to go be a tourist. Go check out these cities. Go visit the memorials and the sites of these little towns. Like go and do that. Go check out the towns on your first time through. All right, because you'll have plenty of time to go to malls and movies and bars, but make sure that you actually get out and explore these towns. Okay. All right. Per diem, real quick, you're going to get per diem, and per diem is a daily stipend of money. It can be anywhere from $25 up to $75 if it's international, and depending on the tour. A lot of the lower end, newer tours are $25 a day. It's usually every day that you're out, you'll get per diem. And what I like to use per diem for is different than a lot. Obviously, I'll use money on days off to eat. But I often like to save my per diem and invest it when I get home into something. Or one time I did a 3-month long tour. I saved up most of my per diem. I was able to literally buy a computer, a laptop at the end of the tour. And this is not money that's from your paycheck. This is on top of your paycheck. You'll get per diem. And so as far as best uses of per diem, it's really up to you. It's there for food. Okay. It's there for food, but on show days, they feed you 4 times a day, and then you have bus stock as well. I mean, you can grab a sandwich on the bus and some chips for lunch. Like you don't have to necessarily blow all your per diem on a day off. A lot of times people will buy, a few drinks at the bar and that blows their per diem. But I really like to utilize my per diem for growth. And so I do that. Up to you. And then we already talked about laundry. So really for the first part of touring fundamentals, the first part of this training, the summary to this first part, as far as getting on the road, you got your tour, and we know the different types of tours and the buses and life on the bus and how to pack and all these different things. It's about packing efficiently, right? It's about being considerate of others. It's about learning to be more forgiving because people are different than you, right? A practice of patience, and to let go of the things that are out of your control. When you're living with other people on a bus that are different than you, when you're traveling in airports and dealing with hotels and just dealing with other people and their way of life and the way of living and the situations, it's important to just let things go and control what you can control so you can really enjoy touring and be in the moment. Part 2 is called your first days on the gig. So you got a gig, you rolled up on your bus, and what do you do? What is your responsibilities? How do you know where to start? Like, you know that you're being hired as a audio engineer or a PA or an assistant or a backline tech or a carpenter or a lighting guy, but like, what do you actually do? Like, how does your day start? So first of all, get up and check in. Get up early. All right. Make sure you're never late, by the way. I mean, shoot, you're in the dang parking lot. Come on. Get up and check in, and make sure you get in early and get the bearings of the venue. Go around the venue and make sure that you know where everything is, the loading dock is, catering, that type of thing. Connect with your crew lead. Okay. Now, if you're just not sure exactly what specifically you're going to do on the first day, like, it's okay. If you've had shop prep time, by the way, if you're a production person, you've had any time in the shop to prep your show, you might be a little bit more understanding of what your specific responsibilities are. But even still, the way we start these tours is it takes a bit of, like, it's a machine. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of working out the kinks of communication, of getting the flow. And so one thing that I would recommend doing, it being your first tour, is go and talk to the crew lead. You know, your immediate crew lead will set the tone for exactly what's expected of you. You know, you don't have to guess on this. Like, if you've gotten shop prep, great, but maybe, like in my situation as a backline tech, I might not have had any prior time. There's no shops for us backline guys. We do what's called band rehearsals, where we work up the songs and stuff. But like, otherwise, we're figuring out how our flow is going to go. And sometimes your flow on doing things might take a few shows. Just understand that there might be a little bit of fumbling, like before you and your team, your immediate team, versus just the bigger picture team, but your immediate team kind of gets your load in and load out flow. So the first show is always kind of like a little bit bumpy. Okay. So when you get checked in, you figure out your bearings, go check in with your crew lead, or if you're a TM assistant or your PM or production assistant or whatever, go and check in with your immediate supervisor, your immediate manager rather, and just find out what they need from you. Hey, you know, where exactly are you thinking that we can get started today? You know, because if the trucks haven't started dumping yet and your gear hasn't came out yet, then there can be a little bit of conversation about, like, hey, how are you thinking like this could go, right? A little bit of conversation, but you're not really going to know until stuff starts coming out of the trucks. All right. And when stuff starts coming out of the trucks, then you can kind of figure out, like, you know, your few cases, but that's like coming to you that you're responsible for. But like, there's other things to consider as you start to get the flow of the workday. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But before I do, I want to talk about your attitude and your mindset. It does not have to suck for you. You're going to get a lot of veteran people on the road that come into these venues and be like, God, this is going to suck. You know, maybe it is going to be a tough, challenging venue or a tough day or whatever, but like, make sure that you keep your head in the game and stay positive and optimistic about what's actually going to happen that day, because just because it sucks for them does not mean it has to suck for you. Okay. Plus, we're freaking excited. I mean, come on, we got our first tour, right? So make sure you keep a check on your attitude and your mindset. So back to loading in. All right. Loading in, meaning you should know already, you're loading your show into the venue. Figure out with your crew lead, like, where do you need to be? Do you need to catch the gear when it comes into the room or in the production offices or whatever? Like, do they want you to catch and put the cases where they need to be in the venue, or do they want you to send from the truck? You know, maybe there's a few of you. Like, maybe one of you needs to be at this corridor, this bomb, pointing and directing cases, one person sending, and you're like that middle path. Like, ask those questions to the crew lead. The crew lead will usually be like, yeah, you send, I'll catch, you be in the hallway. Okay, great. And then you can start to expect that that's going to be the typical flow. That way, after your first couple shows, the machine is down. Even when the venue changes, you know what's expected of you and where. You know, usually it's not like, okay, well, you send, I'll catch, and then a couple shows, let's switch it up. It's like, not usually. Usually it's the same thing, so you can have that flow, because it's a big machine, man. We're working on a time frame to get these shows up and rocking, right? Obviously, I should have said this a second ago, but make sure you grab your radio. Usually there's radios that come off the truck first. They're going to be in production. You'll probably issued a radio from the production team, and it's going to have your name on it or whatever. You might get a little card that has all the different departments' frequencies on there. And just make sure that you grab your radio so you can be in contact. Sometimes you'll get a radio that has a mic on it that clips up top. I'm in backline, man, these days, unless I'm stage managing, production, or tour managing. Like, I try not to have a radio in backline. But I'm just joking. I'll get a radio. But Get your radio and make sure you have a proper etiquette on the radio. Like, don't be cursing all over the radio and cursing people out, or even just joke cursing and stuff. Like, keep it cool on the radio, because you never know who's around somebody else listening on the radio, and you just want to keep it professional on the radio. Not to say that cursing and all that stuff's not acceptable generally in the world of it all, but I just mean on the radio, have a little bit of etiquette on the radio. And so once you're loading in, you know where you're sending it and you're catching it. Just make sure that and you got proper radio etiquette. Just make sure that you're paying attention to your crew lead and stuff, to make sure that everything's flowing accordingly. And if you have any questions about what you should be doing at a specific time as it's coming in, like where a dead case is going to go, where they want things, ask. Communication is key, right? Another thing that you're going to deal with is stagehands. Stagehand management is important to understand that, like, you're going to be given labor, and I just want you to understand that, like, stagehands are very valuable, and you just need to be really considerate to the stagehands. Be kind to the stagehands, even when they're not kind back to you, even when you feel like they're just not listening. Even when they're not listening, you're going to get a lot of stagehands that are very much so not doing what you're asked of them. Just still be kind. Just be nice to these people, and you'll get more out of them. Okay. But just learn how to communicate properly. One thing I like to do with stagehands, I'm not going to dive too much into this, because I do talk about this in other trainings in Crew Coach. But when you're communicating with stagehands, one thing I like to do is learn their names, like learn their first names. If you're given 3 or 4 stagehands, hey, learn their names. It goes a long way. People love to hear their name called back to them. It's a sign of respect, and you get a lot more out of a stagehand. A stagehand, when you can respect them, will certainly be a lot more attentive to you. And just to let you know, all these venue people, these stagehands and stuff, especially when you tour, you will see them again. This is not going to be the first time you see these people. You will see them absolutely again. So respect the stagehands. Dealing with unions. The reason why I say it like this, dealing with unions, is because unions is a thing. Okay. A lot of times the unions are difficult to work with because they have this hierarchy system of seniority, and there's a lot of no-nos that you can't do with the unions. The IATSE are the stagehands, and the Teamsters are the truck loaders. There's this gray area called the ramp that they sometimes just will not touch a case on. There's all of these breaks that they force you into, and dark stages, and there's a lot of dealings when it comes with the unions. Here's the best way to deal with the unions. Just respect what the union system is. As silly as it is sometimes, where it's sometimes does not make sense, their rules and their guidelines and their constraints. Just be nice to them. Just allow them to do their thing, because you can get the most out of them. When I say, like, local 1 in New York City, local 2, Chicago, local 3, Philadelphia, these low number unions, like, you're going to be hard pressed. Like, you can't even tell them what to do. Oftentimes you can't even tell them what to do because they know better than you. All right. And I'm not being, mean to them or anything. It's just the truth. It's a mentality of the unions. And so if you understand that, and just be a little bit hands off, and just be a lot more vocal with your directions, and just let them do the damn thing. Just let them do it. That's the biggest things when it comes to working with the unions. Don't mouth off to the unions. I got threw out of a venue one time in Chicago because I apparently mouthed off to a union guy, and he brought a steward over there and told me to leave. One time in Chicago, the fork-op stopped working for me because I asked him to, take a little bit more care with the cases, and he said, F you, and stopped working on me. The unions can do this. That's just what it is with the unions. Okay. And so just be kind to them, joke with them, let them do the work. And then when you get your cases in position, then you can do your thing. Okay. Then you can kind of take responsibility of your role. So it's a thing. I just wanted to bring that up in this training because you will work with a lot of unions. And so it's important to just understand that, and not all of them are the same. There are some unions that are not so aggressive and not so forceful. But it's usually the higher number of unions. The low number unions, A lot of them are very controlling. And so just be nice. Okay. Even if they mouth off to you, just don't mouth off to you. Don't mouth back to them. Okay. All right. So catering, there's going to be catering for you. You're going to get fed multiple meals in the day. Make sure that you take advantage of that. It's so easy to eat unhealthy in catering, but it's also very easy to eat healthy in catering. And oftentimes these caterers, sometimes they tour with the tour, sometimes they're venue related caterers. What's cool about the catering team is they want to cook a good meal for you. Usually they want to see you happy. And so, sometimes you can put in a request with the caterers for specifics. Like I like to eat healthy on the road. And so I will ask the caterers, hey, do you have any chicken breast that doesn't have all of the sauce on it, right? Stuff like that. And a lot of times they'll prepare you something specific, more than happy to. Sometimes the catering is not great. And sometimes it's really great. It's hit or miss, but just know that you will get fed on the road. And that is for you to enjoy. So do that. All right, loadouts. Here's the thing about loadouts. Every tour is different. Sometimes the smaller tours with the smaller teams, the production manager will want you to stay for the entire loadout. Meaning, like, let's just say that you are the backline tech or the lighting tech or the audio tech or production assistant or whatever. They might want you, as everybody as a team, to load load the trucks in their entirety together. It's not like departmental where, okay, well, backline's in, so I'm leaving, you know. On the bigger tours where there's such a system of things, they need you to get your stuff in the truck and get the heck out of the way so you can go and shower, get cleaned up, and get back on the bus, because here comes a whole bunch of other people getting done that needs to shower. And so when it comes to loadouts, it's really about just talking to the stage manager or the production manager and finding out what the expectations are. Me personally, I like to stay until I'm told to go ahead and go. You're good to go, you know, and then you figure out that flow. All right. So, but just understand that once when your stuff is in the truck, it does not mean that you're done. When you're done is when the production manager or the stage manager of that tour will say, hey, you're good. You can go ahead and go. Right. Just something to be considerate of. Merch is a whole different ballgame. Oftentimes merch is almost every time merch is the last thing on the truck. And so it is one thing that I like to do is I'll help out the merch person sometimes if needed, especially on the smaller tours, grab their boxes and help them out to the truck. You know, it just really depends on the size of the tour and things like that. It's not an expected thing, but hey, look, you're a team. You know, some of my dear friends are merch people. I've actually toured as a merch person, so I understand that world and I have a soft spot for it. And so I will sometimes, even as a guitar tech, will finish up and grab the merch. In fact, last night we were doing a gig, a radio promo show, and it wasn't the merch person, but out in the merch area was a step and repeat photo banner for the Jonas Brothers. And the tour manager was like, man, we got to grab that banner. I didn't even think. I just went right out there, started breaking it down. And here comes the production manager. He's like, oh, Kenny's out here grabbing it. I'm like, yeah, man, that's just what I do. You know, that's just how I am. Just because I'm, you know, Nick Jonas's guitar tech does not mean that my teamwork stops there. You know what I mean? And so just understand that for loadouts, it's always a team effort. Okay. But it's also important though, if you're told to get the heck out of there and go shower, be considerate and be quick about your shower. All right. Because there are other people right behind you needing to shower. And look, like when it comes to showering and stuff, find out, usually towels are next to the production office usually, and sometimes they're in the actual shower space, but like wherever they are, ask where towels are, grab 1 or 2 towels. Sometimes you can grab a second towel and just, again, shower quick, and be considerate. You don't have to leave a bunch of hair or soap or whatever all over the place. So be considerate in the shower, be quick. Something that will happen on smaller tours is sometimes these showers are not nice. Sometimes you'll play these old theaters or festivals or whatever where there's no showers. And what they'll do, the tour will rent like 2 or 3 hotel rooms down the road to where everybody will get done loading out. They'll go and they'll give a couple of keys. And sometimes these are actually the bus drivers' rooms. And the bus drivers sometimes will get extra towels and soap and shampoo sent up to the hotel room. And then you will go to what's called these cleanup rooms. If there's no shower at the venue or a nasty shower and they don't want you to shower in there, you will go to this cleanup room and have the opportunity to clean up after that. I was on the Trace Atkins tour, and that tour was an outdoor festival tour. And we actually had 2 buses that had showers in the bus, and usually they're not used. Okay. Usually the showers in the bus aren't used. Sometimes we store extra waters there or whatever. But like we were doing like these hot, nasty rodeos and summer festivals with Trace this year. And we actually used these bus showers. Sometimes because I was the stage manager and I would be the last guy on the bus, and I was hardly ever able to go and get cleaned up before because we had to hurry up to the next city. And so I literally used the bus shower on this tour. Okay. So, but when it comes to using the bus shower, be quick about it because there's a water tank and there's only so much water on the bus. And speaking of water on the bus, I probably should have mentioned this. The water on the bus is non-potable, meaning do not drink the water on the bus. Don't brush your teeth with the water on the bus. Use bottled water to brush your teeth. Okay. You don't want it. You don't want that. Okay. After show food on the bus. So after you're done loading out and you're showering, you're going to get what's called after show food. Now, usually it's not the most healthy food. Actually, it's almost never healthy food. I will say tours are starting to incorporate more organic and more healthy options on buses and stuff. But after show food is usually never healthy. It's usually pizza. Pizza is a really big one for after show food, and burgers and fries. Or what's cool is locational specifics, like location favorites. So if you're in Kansas City, you might get barbecue on the bus. You know, if you're in Chicago, you might get Skyline chili. Ugh, stuff is so gross, in my opinion. Isn't that Chicago or is that Ohio? Either way, you know, things like that. Like you might get down in Texas, you might get some Mexican food on the bus, like some tacos. In California, you might get In-N-Out burger. Like they try to geographically sometimes give the local favorite of after show food, but you will get after show food on the bus. So that's something that you can have at when you get on the bus. All right. Oh, and something too is I like to do this is helping production with dressing room stock and bus stock. So usually at the ends of the gig, at the ends of the gig, there will be all this dressing room stock left in the dressing room. Well, something that I like to do is after I get showered up, before I head to the bus, or even after I drop my suitcase off the bus, I'll come back in the venue and ask the tour manager or the production manager, production assistant, like, hey, can I help you take anything to the bus? It's just a consideration thing. It's not a necessary requirement, but it's just a really cool thing for you to do is go help production drag cases of water, soda, snacks, all that stuff back to the bus. You know, the tour manager and everybody, they would just really appreciate the help. And now you know there's a way that you can help them. And then communication is key to working together. Okay, like what I mean by that is when you work and live with these people, there are going to be disagreements on the gig. Like inevitably, you're going to have some people that just does not click. Sometimes people rub each other the wrong way, and communication is the key to all of it. And so if you have an issue with somebody, try your best not to take it back to the bus. Like try your best to communicate through the problem at the gig. If it gets real bad, go to the production manager or the tour manager and just say, hey, I got an issue with this person. Do you mind like mediating a conversation so we can work this out? Because I don't want to take it back to the bus, right? Like seriously, work out your issues. Because sometimes, man, you'll get crew people waking up grumpy, you know, like sometimes crew people have drank a lot the night before and they come into to do the gig and they're, you know, not on their A game and they're grumpy or whatever. And especially me, I'm the positive guy. So I'm super annoying to those guys. And so just make sure that you communicate through those issues. You'll have a way better touring experience when you do not take your issues back to the bus. Okay. And so that was the end of part 2. The summary to that is to be a team player, right? Take ownership of your responsibilities, and then to be considerate and be a great communicator. I wasn't going to actually add this, but I wanted to because I feel like this is a really important one. I could have stopped right there with touring fundamentals, to be honest with you, how to live on the bus and how to travel and all that stuff, as well as the how to actually approach your first gigs and things like that. But like I wanted to add this because this is me. Okay. I am the healthy guy on the road. I always have been. I say always. No, let me take that back. There has been plenty of tours, especially in my early days, where I ate all the after show food. I drank all the alcohol. I did all the bad things, if you know what I mean. And I didn't take care of myself. But these days, I'm the healthy guy, and it works to my advantage. I've been the healthy guy a long time, and so I just want to impress upon you as like as much temptation, I should say, on the road. You can absolutely be healthy on the road. Okay. And so I want to talk a little bit here on part 3 about being healthy on the road, and then we'll be done with this training. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying this so far for touring fundamentals. But let me just talk about being healthy on the road, because this is an important one, because the better health that you have, the better performance that you can have. And it's okay to be the healthiest person on tour. I just want to say that it's actually okay to adopt that identity. I know that the cool kids out on the road, they're trying to do all the bad things with the drinking and the eating and the whatnot. But, you can absolutely be a healthy person on the road. So bus stock, I mentioned bus stock earlier. There's a list for bus stock. Within reason, you can put requests on the bus stock list of some healthy components if you want. Okay. If there's some things that are specific to you and your diet, you can absolutely put that on the bus stock request and see if that's something that the tour will go ahead and get you. Sometimes they will. And you may find that like there are other people on the bus that are like, they wish that there was healthier options. And until you took the initiative to write it on the bus stock list, did they feel comfortable asking about it as well? So you might find that like, oh shoot, I love that specific healthy snack as well, or that healthy drink as well. And yeah, it becomes a normal staple on the bus. And so bus stock food requests is one way to incorporate a little bit of healthier options within reason. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it always gets accepted by production, because bus stock there is a budget to bus stock. Now, if they don't have, like I know people that have to have specific meals because of, maybe they're diabetic or gluten-free or all these different options. So they bring their own stuff. And to be honest with you, I actually bring a lot of my own food, or after the first day, I'll go and purchase or send the runner out for my own stuff for bus stock. And then, I write my name on it or whatever. I was out with Clint Black, this country singer, and I brought my healthy foods on the bus. I wrote my name on everything and put it all in the fridge and in the cabinets and stuff. Now, I was on the band bus being the backline tech, and I came out one morning after like the first weekend with these guys, and they were like sitting in the front lounge, all the band, they were just eating my stuff. I was like, what the heck? It's like, guys, I wrote my name on this stuff. They were like, yeah, I know. We appreciate that. Now we know who to thank. But they were, I didn't care, but I'm just saying that like, if you want to have healthy food options, bring it on the bus. By the way, those guys ended up, hooking me back up. So no big deal. If you want to be the healthy person on the bus, watch your alcohol intake. Like sincerely, if you're going to drink alcohol, most of the time it's like right before bed. Just know what it does to you. Just know what it does to your body and to your brain. It's going to definitely reduce you on the job. And so watch your alcohol intake when it comes to at least show days. Have some sort of boundaries for yourself. I'm saying this from experience, okay? There has been in my early touring days where I didn't watch my alcohol intake and had load in the next day, and where I had been up drinking till 3 and 4 in the morning. And then I come to the gig where I'm like, oh God, oh. And so I just want to tell you that if you want to have healthier experience on the road, then watch your alcohol intake, okay? Here's another one. You do not always have to eat the after show food. Just because it's there for you does not mean that you have to eat it. Just know, and we did this in the mental health master class, I believe. I talked about food on the bus, but like, because it affects your mental health. By the way, like your body has a very difficult time processing food while it's asleep. Like you need a couple of hours of your body to burn off this food. I always like to say like 2 hours, like 2 hours before you go to sleep, like stop eating. And so your body can process, because then what happens is if you let your body process the food, then you can go to sleep, and then your body can actually reset and re-energize the body as it's supposed to, as opposed to you eat after show food, you go lay down in your bunk and you're sitting there with all this pizza and beer and burgers and fries, and your body just is working all night. And then you wake up groggy and you got slow performance. It's just what happens. Okay. And so you do not have to eat the after show food. Sometimes you just are so starving and you really want to, man, again, healthy snack options, even if you're not worried about the whole digestive thing, healthy snack options. Something that I like to do is I will take a piece of pizza and I'll scrape the toppings of like 2 or 3 pieces of pizzas into a plate or a bowl and just eat the toppings off and throw out the bread. Okay. Like there's ways, or eat the insides of the burger and skip the fries. I know it sounds boring, but like, that's what I've done. Another thing that I've done when it comes to the food is I oftentimes do intermittent fasting. Actually, I intermittent fast almost every day, which all that means is I don't eat until at least 12 hours after. So if I ate after show food at midnight, ate the toppings off a pizza at midnight or something like that, or had some nuts or whatever at midnight, I won't eat again until afternoon. I'll skip breakfast and then I'll wait, because my body will then be able to utilize that already existing energy, food as energy, and allow me to have a better performance in the morning. And so, but just know that you don't always have to eat the after show food. All right. Hey, get sleep. It's a tough one, because there's a lot of complaint on the road, especially when you're on a tour, that like, oh, there's just not enough time to sleep, not enough time to sleep. Here's the truth of the matter. Production managers, stage managers, I get that. Okay. But like at the end of the day, and you'll know this when you go on the road, tour managers and stuff, they have a lot shorter hours to be able to sleep. Okay. And so it's even more important to really watch your diet and stuff like that. But when it comes to sleep, sleep is the way your body resets and re-energizes and gives you your energy back. Okay. It's the way our body processes. Like we have to have sleep. And when you don't get enough sleep, you get grumpy, you get off your A game, you don't get to make smart decisions and clear decisions. And so you need sleep, right? Most people can get enough sleep. Like even if you're a lighting person and you're back on the bus at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, which is not uncommon, and then you have to get up at 6:30 or 7, like again, you don't have to stay up another hour or so drinking and eating. You don't have to. A lot of road people do. I'll just tell you that a lot of road people will stay up even though that they've been, and then they'll do the cycle for a few days. And then they have some pretty rough days off in their hotel rooms and stuff, because all they do is go and drink some more and eat, and then they don't get to experience off days much because they're just always tired, always trying to recover. And so get your sleep, man. Get your sleep. Like as a lighting person or a video person or an audio person or whatever, if you can't get to sleep in that time block after 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., you can get some during the day. There's ways that you can get some sleep during the day, go back to the bus during the day. You don't always have to be out there. Usually you can take the time to get some sleep on the smaller tours where you're not, out there till 2 in the morning, where it might be like midnight, and then you're not loading in till 7 or 8 because it's only like a 1-truck tour. That's plenty enough sleep. At least get 6 hours. Like we have enough time to get to sleep on the road. All right. I won't say anything more, but I just wanted to say it's important to get your dang sleep. Okay. Exercising on the road. Okay. I am a huge on exercising on the road, whatever type of exercise that is good for you, whether it be yoga or something like that. But I'm more like, yes, I like to do yoga, but when I'm thinking about exercise, I'm thinking like blood pumping, heart rate up for a little bit and getting some sweat on. Okay. And so when I get up in the mornings, I did this, by the way, even as a TM and PM and stage manager, where I was the first one in the building at like 7 in the morning, I would just get up earlier and I would do a workout called an M100, which is basically like 3 body weight type workouts. I would do that right outside the bus, and I would exercise in the first thing in the morning. Or if I couldn't do it first thing in the morning, in those roles, right before I got in the shower, while I was waiting for the shower, in the dressing room, I would do a body weight exercise to where I can get my blood pumping, push-ups and stuff. And you might be thinking, dude, didn't you just work all day? It's like, yes, but the irony about exercise is it actually gives you energy. And when you're the healthy person generally, where you're eating right, you're watching your alcohol intake, you're not eating after show food, like you're actually getting your sleep and stuff, exercising at the end of a work day right before you get showered up is not a difficult thing to do. I've lived this life. Hotel gyms and in the hotel rooms, I've done literally full on insanity workouts. You don't know what insanity is, Sean T. I have all the Beachbody stuff on my computer, and I like to do some of that stuff in my hotel room or go to the gym. On off days, sometimes I'll go to the local YMCA or a gym, depending. If I'm just in my bunk in the mornings, something I like to do is I like to stretch in my bunk before I get out. Like I'll pull my knees to my chest. You know, I'll even do like right before bed, I'll even do some ab exercises, some crunches in my bunk. Look, man, I'm just really doing everything I can to combat the situation and the lifestyle of the road, because the road is not easy. It is constantly pulling at you in all directions, you know, pulling at your mind, pulling at your body, and anything that you can do, take advantage of these little opportunities to stretch or, you know, take care of your core, which holds up everything in your body, right? Something that I did for a long time is group exercises, like whether it be group yoga, or I was doing the insanity program, the Shanti, I was like going through the whole thing. And I used to get, I mean, on multiple tours, I used to get band and crew. I mean, I've had artists show up and do insanity with me. Sometimes right when everything was loaded out. I remember I was with the band Perry for years, this country band, used to be a country band. Anyways, and they loved the fact that I worked out all the time. They actually had a trainer, but they would see me doing insanity, and then a couple more crew would join me in insanity after loadouts and stuff. We would do it out by the bus or whatever. So finally, they wanted to join in, and then more people started to want to join in. And so after loadouts, we would go back out on stage where it was completely open and clear, and we would literally set up my two Bluetooth speakers and my computer, my laptop, and I would lead everybody, kind of lead, really Sean T led us, in insanity. Like literally band, crew, everybody. And it was a community. It was a way to build community. We really bonded, that kind of team building thing, but also it was a way to kind of be healthy on the road. And so there's no excuses. You can absolutely do exercise. And I promise you that when, like, there are a lot of people on the road that want to. There are a lot of people that say it out of their mouths, like, man, I wish I could do that. And when they see you doing it, they want to join in and do it too. So I want to encourage you to be the starter of that, right? Meditation is something that you guys, if you've watched any of my stuff or heard me talking about in Crew Coach, I'm big on meditation. I do it every morning. I have a meditation practice that I do every single morning. It's varied. It's different. Sometimes it is a breathing exercise with meditation. Sometimes I do a guided meditation from different people that I follow. But sometimes it's prayer meditation and gratitude meditation. Whatever it is, like, it's super important to really get connected with your quiet, with yourself, listen to yourself. There's so much value in meditation, and it's scientifically proven to help you be more clear in all areas and more intentional in all areas of your life. But the one key scientific fact about meditation is as soon as you stop meditating, it drops. Like, as soon as you stop meditating, the situations of life will start to come in. And so meditation is one of those things. Like, exercise has a lot more resounding effect than meditation does, but meditation is something that you need to do on the regular, but it has crazy profound effects to do for you if you daily meditate. So meditation, I do it in my bunk sometimes before bed, or when I first get up, I'll do it in hotel rooms. Like, man, there's no one way to meditate. You can YouTube meditation, and there's a lot of different specifics to guided meditations on there. Doesn't take long. You know, I've got a 5-minute one. I've got a 15 and 25, 30-minute one. And sometimes if I'm, want to at nights in hotel rooms, I will literally do an hour-long one that puts me to sleep. So meditation is a very profoundly powerful resource to being healthy on the road. Here's something too that is weird on the road. Okay. And I'm talking about this in this being healthy on the road is because it's about minding your own business. Okay. People do what they want to do on the road. There's a lot of people that are in these weird relationships. Like you'll notice sometimes crew people will get into relationships with each other, and you're like, wait a minute, don't y'all have girlfriends or boyfriends at home? But then they'll have these flings on the road. I've seen married people, girl, female, and male, have flings on the road, even with other people. I've seen people, doing drugs, all kinds of stuff on the road. Look, here's the thing about it. It takes all kinds. Okay. There's a reason why we are touring people, and I'm not necessarily condoning I'm not pushing my morality and my level of standards and values on someone else, because what I understand is these aren't bad people. These are people that have their own way in life. Okay. And so I always like to say what happens on the road stays on the road. It's none of my business that they're, cheating on their spouses or doing these drugs or whatever, unless it affects my safety, of course. Then that might be a different thing. But even still, like, what people do on the road is their own business. There's a reason why they're not in 9-to-5 jobs and office situations and stuff. The road allows unique people to be their unique self. Okay. And so, hey, look, the reason why I put this in the healthy aspect is because this is about having a healthy boundary for me. Okay. I'm not going to allow someone else's lack of morality, or at least not the same morality that I do, affect my road experience, and I'm not going to judge them either, because I also understand that, like, I'm not perfect. And so what happens on the road stays on the road. You must understand that you're living and working with these people. I already talked about this, but take your days off unapologetically. You do not always have to hang out with the crowd. It is so important in your mental health to take your days off sometimes to yourself and just be like, thank you so much for the invite today. I need some me time. No one will disrespect that. And if they do, that's okay. You'll be stronger for it. All right. And to summarize the part 3 of the touring fundamentals of being healthy on the road is to understand that everyone is different and lives tour life differently, that your health is up to you. You don't have to make the bad choices for your mind and body just because you can, just because the after show food is there, just because the bad food is there, or the craziness is there and accessible to you, does not mean that you have to say yes to it. All right, guys. So that was it for touring fundamentals. The overall theme to touring fundamentals training is that you won't really understand touring till you experience it. As much as I was able to share with you here, there's just so much that you can only know until you actually get out on the road. Just remember that touring is a team sport, and even though it's a team sport, there's a lot of individual personalities and perspectives. So be as prepared as you can for the road, but be as flexible as possible, as things can change on tour in an instant, and you want to be able to adapt to that ever-changing variable. And just remember that, look, life on the road is different for everyone, and everyone lives it differently.